Good morning, welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Wednesday, February 12th, 2014. February 12th is the birthday of Abraham Lincoln. There was a significant earthquake in China about 2 hours ago, a 6.9 earthquake. It struck in the northwestern part of the country. It was about 160 miles east-southeast of a city called Hotan, H-O-T-A-N, which has 120,000 people living in it. There have been absolutely no reports coming from that area yet. So this could be a very bad case scenario, or it could be nothing. A 6.9 earthquake is a very significant event. Seismically, reports of shaking was felt as far away as Pakistan and in India. So we'll have to continue to watch to see if any additional information comes in. Meanwhile, the flooding in England, which already is at its worst since records have begun to be kept now in the past 250 years, apparently is getting worse. The Environmental Agency issued 14 severe flood warnings along the Thames River as water levels there continue to rise. Thus far, about 5,800 properties have been inundated since December because of flooding. And the flooding thus far has been in the extreme southern part of the country and in southwest England. Now that the Thames River has begun to exceed its banks, the insurance industry is beginning to take notice. Insurers are saying that much of the flooding currently in low-lying areas already were well known to them as being at risk for floods, and they set their pricing models accordingly. However, they now could face larger claims since floodwaters have reached the southwestern suburbs of London, which are on the banks of the swollen Thames River and home to some of Britain's most expensive real estate. One insurer said, "Once we note parts of the Thames flooding, then we believe that things could get materially tougher for the industry. The housing levels are more dense and insured values are getting higher." The rising Thames also increases the chances of suburban town centers being inundated, which could potentially trigger a wave of very large claims for business disruptions. Britain's biggest insurers, such as Aviva, RSA, and Direct Line, are all due to report full-year earnings in coming weeks and are unlikely to provide any updates at all before that time. Meanwhile, if the weather in Britain hasn't been bad enough, the meteorological office there has issued the highest level red warning for exceptionally strong winds for West Wales and northwest England. The West Coast is currently being battered by winds of up to 100 miles per hour. So people there are really been going through a very tough time. People in the United States have been going through a tough time as well, especially the southeastern part of the country, which isn't really used to extraordinarily bad winter weather. But Atlanta currently is seemingly a ghost town downtown. Power is out now for about 60,000 customers in Georgia, 70,000 customers in Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, and the Carolinas are out right now. And the ice storm that has been forecast is currently in progress as we speak. The storm is then going to track its way up the coast with approximately 10 or 12 inches of snow forecast for the New York metropolitan area here tomorrow. Meanwhile, here's an interesting story. Risk Management Solutions, the big cat modeler, started a company called Predicat 2 years ago. Predicat launched its first casualty liability model, which provides analytics for casualty risks to the global financial industry. They use a system which rely on peer-reviewed articles. They turn millions of such articles into data that their clients can use to write casualty insurance and reinsurance profitably. They say traditionally insurers rely on claims data, which is looking backwards. Here's the big banana. Hemant Shah, the CEO of RMS and a director of Predicat, says, "Property insurance has already been transformed by cat risk modeling. Predicat represents a real breakthrough for the industry and the beginning of an exciting time." You should have a drum roll for commercial casualty insurance and related capital markets. One of the big questions that has always been asked by underwriters is when will the insurance-linked security money, the new capital, so to speak, begin to come into the casualty insurance and reinsurance market? The thinking had always been that the long-term tail liabilities of casualty was enough to scare them off, that the vagaries of being able to predict what future upcoming liabilities would be would scare them off. But if the modelers can get something to wrap themselves around it and present some sort of coherence to investor money, that could change the game. Oklahoma was the most expensive U.S. state for natural cat losses in 2013. It generated a claims bill of $1.99 billion. A total of $10.27 billion in payouts was attributed overall throughout the U.S. for tornadoes and severe thunderstorms, and that was in a relatively benign year. Texas was the second costliest state for claims at about $1.5 billion. The German insurance company Allianz has bought an 8.3% stake in the football club Bayern-Munich for about $155 million US. Under the deal, Allianz will maintain the right to call Bayern-Munich Stadium the Allianz Arena all the way up until the year 2041. Well, we always follow China and we wonder about the rule of law there, and sometimes you have to be happy that the rule of law doesn't work the way it works elsewhere. But villagers in southwestern China, in a little village called Baha, attacked a factory that was polluting the environment. They went into the factory, smashed its offices and equipment, and later had fights with the police. The factory that was under assault was the Jiangjan Iron and Alloy Factory. Police say that the villagers were arrested, but not before they issued statements. They said that they have grown increasingly angry over this local metalworks plant. It's been coughing up black smoke and discharging polluted wastewater and contaminated slag into the fishing grounds. Environmental protests are on the rise in China, with villagers often taking their concerns directly into their own hands. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.